course, Dave Weinberg, veteran Eagles beat writer, Hall of Fame boxing writer. You check out his work over at 97.3 ESPN.com, his extra point columns. And he joins us right now on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, how's Wednesday treating you?
Very good. Another beach day, so all's good.
Nothing wrong with that. So, a lot of Eagles news. They seem to never keep themselves out of the news cycle, despite the fact that the NFC East is a dumpster fire. But Philadelphia Eagles are finding ways to keep things interesting. I want to start with the game on Sunday because one of my big takeaways is this is now 2 straight weeks the Eagles have scored now. Actually, 3 straight weeks. They've scored about 25 or more points in each game. Are you encouraged at all by what you've seen from the offense, or are you still frustrated, or are you still finding things that you say they need to do a lot better at things?
Yeah, I guess a little bit encouraged, although the offensive line has really needs some work. I mean, Carson Wentz got his butt kicked for most of the game, and that's not going to be good for the rest of the season. He can't keep taking that kind of punishment and expect to stay in the lineup. Yeah, but, they did put some points on the board, you're right, and kept it. They had a nice rally in the fourth quarter, although my argument would be the rally wouldn't be necessary if you didn't stink it up for the first half. So I guess it's good and bad you can take from it.
Yeah, Wentz still has those moments. You watch him, and I want to throw something at the television. I'm like, why are you staring down a receiver? He still has this stubborn, bad habit of not always scanning the field. But it's amazing when he does scan the field, he makes some pretty good plays. And I think at the end of the day, whether people want to admit it or not, with Dak Prescott injured, Wentz is now the best quarterback left standing in the division as of right now.
Yeah, you're probably right. Although I don't know, that's kind of like faint praise. But yeah, but he still has his moments where he makes some good throws, and he took the team. He did a great job of rallying the team in the fourth quarter on Sunday. But I'm not ready to think that he's back to being the elite quarterback he was a few years ago, though. And another turnover that was really costly in the first half. I know people say he didn't throw any interceptions, but there were a couple that were kind of pretty much dropped by Ravens defenders. So he, like the rest of the team, he still has some work to do to get the team where they need to be.
You mentioned the offensive line. The Eagles released Javon Brown today. They're activating Matt Pryor. Oh my goodness! I mean, he was horrible. I mean, I've
never seen an offensive lineman sack his own quarterback before. That was a new one.
I mean, he's got to be the worst offensive lineman for the Eagles since what? King Dunlap or Winston Justice?
Yeah, I'd go back maybe to Antone Davis or something like that. He was awful.
So they got rid of Brown. They got Pryor. Looks like he's gonna at least be good to go for Thursday night, whatever that's worth. Lane Johnson, Doug Peterson expects to be back. So at least there's some reinforcements coming back for the offensive line, which is important because the Eagles, Dave, really need to win these next 2 games if they have any hope of winning this division and getting to the postseason.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I was just thinking about that today, where I don't see them winning another game out of their division. I just think the schedule is just too tough for them to expect to make any headway against the other teams. But if they can go 5-0 or 4-1 in the NFC East, that might be enough 5 or 6 wins might be enough to win that division. But you're right. So the next 2 games against the Giants and Cowboys, those are pivotal games that they really need to win if they want to win the NFC East.
Oh, it's okay. It's a Freudian slip. It's a pitiful matchup in a pivotal game. So.
Yeah, there you go. I had both on my mind there.
Dave Weinberg joining me here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Make sure you follow on Twitter at Dave Weinberg19. Speaking of pitiful, we should note, though, that, Dave, the last 2 times teams won a division with a losing record, it was the Carolina Panthers in 2014 and then the Seahawks in 2010. Both those teams won their wild card game. So getting in with a losing record isn't just a recipe for a disaster. It might be a recipe for some bizarre magic at the end of the day.
Yeah, normally you'd be right there. And, if the Eagles do win the East, they get a home game for the first round. But I don't think, unless they can get healthier and a little more consistent, if they gain some momentum, which Doug has been known to do, he seems he has the knack for getting the team to hit its stride late in the season. So if they can do that, then maybe, who knows, they can pull off a first round upset, but as of now, I don't see it happening.
By the way, a little factoid for you, Dave. The NFC East has 5 total wins after 6 weeks. The last time that happened in the NFL was 1984. It was the AFC Central. That year, the the Steelers won the division, but the rest of the division included an Oilers team that started 0-10. So at least this NFC East is not the first time this ever happened in football.
Yeah, I guess there is some precedent for it. Although the NFC East is, they're known as a pretty competitive division, so it surprises me that that division would be so bad. Every team is pretty much in the bottom third of the league, and it's like surprising me because when you look back over the years of the epic NFC East battles between the Eagles and the Cowboys, Giants and Cowboys, and what have you, it has a reputation for being a tough but successful division, and so to see all 4 franchises falling on hard times like this, it's kind of surprising.
Yeah, it's like Gary Myers told me yesterday here on Game Night. He said that we're a far ways removed from the era of Landry and Gibbs and Parcells and Ryan, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
So speaking of the NFC East, tomorrow night, of course, the Eagles play the Giants. What are some of the things you're looking for in that game, Dave?
Oh, boy. Well, the Eagles should try to run the ball, although I don't know if they're going to be that successful at it without Miles Sanders. Giants' run defense is pretty decent, so I'm kind of expecting Doug to abandon it relatively early, as he usually does anyway. So I guess we're just going to have to hope that Travis Fulgham can work his magic again. It'd be nice if Deshaun Jackson comes back and at least plays a limited role. Maybe it'll take some pressure off some of the younger guys that have been forced to step up here. So that'll be good. And it'll be interesting to see, Lane Johnson, I know he's going to be back, but I don't know for how long. He's been struggling with this ankle injury for quite some time now. So, I don't think I think it's really optimistic to expect him to finish the entire game. Defensively, though, it really comes down to the front 4 and putting pressure on Daniel Jones. Because the Eagles, the Giants don't have much. They don't have any running game either. So if they can force Jones to make some mistakes, which he's been known to do, I think that'll be a key component for an Eagles win tomorrow night.
You mentioned Daniel Jones. Jim Schwartz talked about this week about the fact that Jones is actually their leading rusher because they're without Saquon Barkley. And a part of me almost wondered, did the Ravens' offense with a quarterback who can run and the speed receivers, does that almost like prepare them for a Giants team with a mobile quarterback and with a speed receiver like Darius Slayton, who's expected to be back for Thursday night?
Yeah, I guess in a way it probably does, although I would think Lamar Jackson and Daniel Jones, that's a pretty big gap there. I mean, Jackson's a special kind of player who has the speed that
right. It's a huge gap, yeah. I'm just saying it's the style of what they're going up against.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, like you said, Jones is a mobile guy. So you would think playing that same kind of, I guess, style 2 weeks in a row, that can only help, especially in a short week where they really don't have a whole lot of time to prepare. But the fact that they're somewhat familiar with that brand of offense should help them, I would think.
Also, Jim talked about the fact that, he wouldn't come out and straight up and say it, but he says that, he does expect there to be some similarities between what Jason Garrett and Colombo, the offensive line coach, did in Dallas and what they're doing in New York. So, I mean, is it fair to believe that the Eagles should win on Thursday night?
You would think so, but I'm just not ready to put that much faith in the Eagles right now. They have yet to show me that they're capable of winning the games they're supposed to win. I don't know if there's any games they're supposed to win, but I know they are favored. But they seem to have the Giants' number recently. I think they beat them like 6 of the last 7 times. Doug Peterson's 4-0 on Thursday Night Football since taking over as Eagles coach. They're wearing their all-black uniforms, whatever that means. So, yeah, I guess they should win, but I don't know about that 4.5-point spread. I think they might just maybe win it on a field goal at the end.
All right, Dave Weinberg giving out betting advice here on Weinberg Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, Eagles, Giants tomorrow night, Thursday football. Folks can hear it right here on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7 o'clock. Dave, another big thing over the weekend was Loma Lopez, a fight that I think most people thought it didn't go the way they expected, but you got to give Lopez credit. He came in there with a game plan. I mean, I'm not the boxing aficionado that you are, but from my two eyes, I'm looking at Lopez and I'm thinking one guy came to the fight for a fight and the other guy came to the fight and didn't get started.
Yeah, I was really baffled by Lomachenko's strategy there. I mean, he basically gave away the first 7 rounds, didn't do anything. I don't think he threw a punch in the first round. And I understand, feeling out your opponent, but to keep doing it for the whole first half of the fight, that just made no sense to me at all. I don't know if he was waiting for Lopez to punch himself out or he had some sort of strategy that just never materialized. But, I mean, Loma showed his talent. He showed why he was considered by a lot of people as the best pound-for-pound guy in the sports, but in the last half of the fight. But he waited way too long. And all credit to Lopez. I mean, he had that strategy and executed it to perfection. And so congratulations to him. I mean, he fought a fantastic fight and got the winner's result. Although that 119-109 score is a disgrace.
Yeah, I don't understand what some of these judges are looking at. I mean, you and I have talked about that before about these. I feel like some of these judges need to be penalized a little bit more than they actually are. Like, how else are you going to make sure these weird scores or these horrible scores don't happen anymore if you don't punish these judges somehow?
That's true. I mean, back in like a few years back when Aaron Davis was the commissioner in New Jersey, he actually suspended 3 guys for this outrageous score that they made with the Paul Williams-Landy Lara fight, where Lara clearly won, but Williams either got a draw or got the decision. I forget what it was, but Davis was so incensed that he actually suspended all 3 guys for, I don't know, I want to say like 6 months or more. So, yeah, maybe if more people do that. I know that Larry Hazard has a reputation for he won't necessarily suspend the guy, but he'll put him on the back burner. I mean, he won't use him in anything more than maybe undercard fights for a little while. That's, I guess, a form of punishment. And, that needs to happen more often because there's some judges out there that are really struggling to justify their status there.
Yeah. Now, so the big question from here, Dave, is, a lot of people always wonder, okay, after a big fight, what is next? Because there's so much buildup for a fight, like Fury Wilder. There's all this buildup, but then there's like a letdown after it's done. I almost feel like there's a little letdown with Loma Lopez. Like, what really is next for these guys? I know Loma's having surgery. Lopez, who really knows what he wants to do next, right?
Yeah, there's talk about it moving up to 140, but I would love to see a rematch there. As long for it's going to take a little while, like you mentioned, but I would love to see those 2 guys go at it again. I mean, they're clearly the best 2 best lightweights out there, and from a selfish perspective, I would love to see it in Atlantic City. Lopez being from Brooklyn, that would make it a terrific draw for the Boardwalk. Although it would have to wait until fans are allowed in.
Now, what is the next big fight of the year? Because I know that Crawford is supposed to fight soon, correct? I think he's fighting Kell Brook.
That, to be honest with you, I'm not real sure, but that would be a decent fight. Although, I mean, Crawford might be the best in the world now that Loma got beat. Although I guess you got to put Lopez in there too. But I mean, I gotta say the sanctioning bodies and the promoters and stuff have done a really good job of filling the schedule for the rest of the year. But I'm waiting to see Wilder and Fury fight again whenever that's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm reading right here. Crawford's next fight will be against Kell Brook, and it'll be in November on ESPN. So I did remember that correctly.
Oh, okay, very good.
So does that count as the next big fight, or are we looking more so, as you mentioned, the Fury and Wilder stuff would be the next big item at this point?
Yeah, I mean, there's no really like mega fight out there. I mean, Loma and Lopez is probably as close as you're going to get. But even like the casual fan, I don't think they really knew who those guys are. But you're talking about like drawing power and popularity among the casual fan. The heavyweight division is probably where it's at, and the fact that the Wilder and Fury have already fought and drawn so much interest that I think that's probably the fight that people really want to see. I'm speaking both of experts and just casual people as well.
Dave Weinberg here on Weinberg Wednesday. Follow him on Twitter at Dave Weinberg19. Joins us each week here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, I know you're a huge baseball guy. How do you feel about this World Series, Dodgers and Rays?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's assuming that the Dodgers are just going to roll over them. I'm not so sure about that. I think that the Rays, they had the best record in the American League, so they definitely deserve to be there. I guess you got to give the Dodgers the edge, obviously, based on what happened last night. But I think the Rays are going to make a series out of this.
What do you think it's going to go, like 6-7 games? Because my original prediction was Dodgers in 7. But I also thought that the Dodgers were going to lose the game last night, so what do I know?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Clayton Kershaw hasn't done anything to instill any sort of confidence until last night. But he pitched a great game yesterday, so more credit to him. But excuse me, I think 6 or 7 is probably fair.
Now, with that being said, if whoever wins this series doesn't really matter, though, because the 2020 season was so topsy-turvy. I mean, how do we feel about a baseball season that has had everything happen this year? I mean, you're a traditional baseball guy, Dave. So, do you feel like the winner of this World Series, is it a greater achievement? Is it a lesser achievement? How do you feel about the World Series? Because some people were arguing, with the NBA and the NHL, well, they won in a bubble. Is it really the same? Was it harder? How do you feel about baseball in their situation?
Lesser achievement. I mean, there wasn't the grind of 162 games. Teams aren't able to build off a home field advantage. Like in baseball, that means a lot, I think. And to have that in Texas for the World Series kind of takes some of the excitement away from it. I guess you can argue, though, that the fact that it's a neutral site, neither team has that huge edge. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem to have the same kind of juice that like a normal season has. I mean, a normal World Series has. I mean, the pageantry and the excitement. I really missed, and my wife missed just seeing the players get introduced. They run out of dugout onto the base path and stuff, and it just doesn't seem to have the same kind of electricity. I mean, I'll watch it because I'm a baseball guy, like you said, but I think it's probably losing a lot of casual fans because of the way the season went.
Well, they say Game 1 was the least watched World Series game since the last time the Rays won the World Series against the Phillies. So, maybe some of it also has to do with the participants as well, because let's be realistic, Tampa's not exactly a hotbed for baseball fandom. Yeah,
that's true. I did find it interesting. Somebody pointed out that whoever wins this, they'll give their city their second championship this year.
Yep,
right?
That's correct.
LA and Tampa, so that's kind of cool.
I think I was telling the guys earlier today, Hunter Brody and Mike Gill on the Sports Bash, I think more people show up for Lightning games in hockey than they do for Rays games in baseball, though. So I think it's a little bit.
I don't know if you've ever been to Tampa's field. It's terrible. Oh, my gosh.
It's a dump.
Tropicana Field with the roof and the foul balls hitting off the ceiling. It's awful. That's an awful place to watch a game.
It's also located in a weird, bad part of town, too, so it doesn't help either.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't want to mention the strip clubs that are nearby, but there are a couple.
With that being said, he's Dave Weinberg. You can follow him on Twitter at Dave Weinberg19. Joins us each week for a Weinberg Wednesday here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Check out his extra point columns over at 97.3 ESPN.com. As all guests, he appeared here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Dave, always appreciate the time and the conversation.
Oh, thanks very much. I appreciate it as always. Talk to you next week.